In the 17th century, the boundary of biology was drawn by the naked eye. If something was too small to be seen, science simply assumed it didn't exist. Life, as far as anyone knew, operated on a scale we could measure with a ruler. In the Dutch city of Delft, Antonie van Leeuwenhoek worked as a prosperous cloth merchant and civil servant. He had no formal scientific education and could not speak or read Latin, the language used by the academic establishment of his day. His initial motivation had nothing to do with science. To ensure the quality of his fabrics, Leeuwenhoek needed to count the individual threads packed into a tight weave. To do this, he used a standard low-power magnifier, known in the trade as a weaver's glass. Driven by a tradesman's obsession with detail, standard tools quickly proved insufficient. He began pushing the limits of glass manipulation to build instruments far beyond anything the universities possessed. While the scientific elite experimented with complex compound microscopes, stacking multiple lenses inside tubes, those early designs suffered from severe visual distortion. Leeuwenhoek took the opposite approach, relying on a single, extremely powerful lens. The devices he built from scratch look nothing like modern microscopes. They are tiny plates of brass or silver, small enough for a palm, dominated by a long adjustment screw. You don't look down a tube, you hold the plate right up to your eye. The specimen is impaled on a tiny pin. By turning the long screws, you adjust the distance between the specimen and the glass to find focus and hold it. For centuries, historians assumed he achieved this clarity through some lost, agonizingly precise glass grinding technique. But recent neutron tomography scans revealed a simpler approach. He likely took a thin glass rod, held it in a hot flame, and let the melting end curl back to form a perfect sphere. This method yielded single lenses capable of magnifying objects up to 266 times their actual size. With a few pieces of brass and a melted glass globule, an amateur outsider gave himself the most powerful eyes on Earth. Leeuwenhoek did not start with a grand hypothesis. He simply took his new lenses and pointed them at absolutely everything he could find, operating without any order or structured methodology. He examined the macro world in microscopic detail. He looked at animal tissues, described muscle striations, the optic nerve, the germination of seeds, and root development. Moving to bodily fluids, he provided highly accurate measurements of red blood cells, expanding on the initial sightings made a few years prior by Jan Swammerdam. Then, in 1677, he examined male semen and discovered tiny modal elements he called animalcules. He had found spermatozoa, an observation that forced a revision of the contemporary understanding of biological reproduction. By ignoring traditional academic boundaries and observing such a wide array of specimens, he systematically dismantled the assumption that complexity ended where human vision stopped. The tipping point in his research came when he turned his instrument toward materials that appeared completely lifeless to the naked eye: stagnant, standing rainwater, a drop from a pond, and plaque scraped from his teeth. This illustration plate shows what he found in those fluids: an entire invisible universe. Over a 50-year correspondence, he sent the Society letters written in his native Dutch, packed with highly detailed drawings and instructions for observation. Eventually, members of the Society replicated his experiments. Through sheer persistence and overwhelming visual evidence, this self-taught draper forced the world's greatest scientific minds to accept the reality of a living microbial world. Despite his massive volume of observations, Leeuwenhoek lacked the formal training to build a scientific framework. He operated decades before Linnaeus developed taxonomy. There was no system to categorize what he found. He was like Adam in a microscopic garden. Every droplet presented a variety of structures with no context in the known natural world. Furthermore, his tools were so specialized, no one could replicate his volume of work or synthesize a cohesive theory. Raw observation, isolated from theory, struggles to drive immediate progress. Because no one knew what these microbes actually did, his findings lingered as a scientific curiosity for over a century. It wasn't until the 19th century that the broader scientific community finally caught up to him. As chemistry and biology matured, researchers asked a vital question: could Leeuwenhoek's animalcules cause infectious disease? Scientists like Louis Pasteur and Robert Koch picked up exactly where he had left off. They used his foundational proof of a microscopic world to build the modern germ theory. There is a direct line from those early single-lens observations to the development of modern sanitation, the discovery of antibiotics, and the engineering of global vaccines. By proving that a parallel world of invisible, living organisms exists, Leeuwenhoek laid the foundation for modern microbiology. Every time a scientist identifies a new bacterium or develops a life-saving antibiotic, they are continuing the work that began with a curious merchant and a melted glass sphere.